So, we're live on Facebook and Instagram at the same time. This is essentially experiment number 2 to see how we get on. We got the 2 mics, we got the 2 cameras set up, I believe, in a better position. So, it gives me the opportunity to speak to both Facebook and Instagram at the same time, get lots of questions, lots of interaction from both. So, see if I can serve you guys and provide a bit of value to both of you guys at the same time. So Instagram is still connecting here, but we are live on Facebook. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how, let me just look over here so I can see the comments. Just a reason why you could be unhappy. So happiness, well, put it this way. How is it that one person who is 12% body fat, aesthetically pleasing to most of us, fits that model, if you like, and they're unhappy, whereas someone with 35% body fat is absolutely, they think they're sexy, they think they're working it, and they think they look absolutely fantastic. How is that possible? How is it possible that the person who fits the model, 12% body fat, ripped, how is it that that person is unhappy and 35% body fat thinks they're sexy and working it? Well, here it is. If we believe that life should be one way, but life is actually this way, yeah, and they don't marry up, then unhappiness is inevitable. So my invitation to you is to make sure that we're defining happiness in a winnable way for us. So it's no good for me if I think, I'll be happy. I would be so happy if I was 6'6". I'm 28 years of age. I'm 5'10" and proud. And I'm not going to be 6'6". And that's cool. That's cool. I need to define ways to be happy right now, whilst in pursuit of the things I'd love to create. Does this make sense? Because if we're defining happiness in the future, we're guaranteed to be unhappy because we're training our mind to be happy in the future. And if we're defining happiness in some way we think it should be, that isn't aligned with how we are genetically, and we're getting wrapped up in this, anything is possible. Yeah, anything is possible within the realms and laws of the universe. Sometimes that motivational idea needs to be defined a little bit better, because it can be affecting our happiness. If we think anything is possible, without defining it within the realms of the universe, and what is indeed physically, spiritually, emotionally, mentally possible for us, we might be defining the happiness game in a losable way. Does this make sense? And then what we do then, we get unhappy because our focus is on what is not, on what we don't have. And this might sound a little bit fluffy and out there, but the truth is there are things that we do have. And when we shift that focus, it's about getting happy now, right now, getting happy right now, whilst in pursuit of what we want. Does this make sense, guys? Because once we're in pursuit of what we want to create, what we'd love to create for ourselves, our family, the world, our community, if we're happy during the pursuit, Bob Proctor calls it happy dissatisfaction. So dissatisfaction is actually a creative state, where it's important to be happy with what we've got, whilst in pursuit of what we want to create. So that unhappiness can often be coming from focusing on what we don't have and focusing on the way we think it should be, even though that's not real for us. And here's what is exciting. I mean, if I asked any of you guys now, how many of you would like that perfect body? That word perfect is different for us all. It might be a certain muscularity for some, it might be some certain curves for others. If I asked you, would you love your perfect body? You'd say yes, I would imagine. Because that would represent health, vitality, sexiness, whatever it is for you. But then if I asked everyone who's watching this live and going to watch the replay, if I asked everyone how many of you have your perfect body, it would be a much smaller percentage. Because you've attached an unhappy ideal to the achievement of that perfect body. Does that make sense? So if you might have things on repeat like, chocolate makes me happy. And that's fine. There's nothing intrinsically wrong with that if chocolate makes you happy. But you're setting yourself up for unhappiness because perhaps 2 bars of chocolate a day does not match up with the pathway to the perfect body. So we're stuck in a little bit of what you would call a values conflict, a conflict in priorities. You may be putting chocolate up here, and you want the perfect body up here as well. And if they don't marry up, we're setting ourselves up for unhappiness. This makes sense? Whereas it's okay. If we can redefine that, if we can take a pen and paper is a beautiful way. If we can take a pen and paper and write down, let's say, 100 reasons why we must have the perfect body. What that'll give us, what that'll give the world, what that'll give our family. If we just kept writing and writing and writing, we can start to redefine what the perfect body actually means. Not some magazine ideal, not what some guru says, not some picture, what it means for us. And then we can start to dissolve the fact that chocolate makes us happy on a daily basis. And we can be happy with what we've got. We can appreciate what we've got whilst in pursuit of what we want. And then we start to get in what I call the happiness cycle. And, you're never going to be happy all the time. Because happiness is a fluid, just like any feeling. It's a fluid feeling. Does this make sense? But when you're in what I call a happiness cycle, you cycle back up to it. It's like the opposite of being stuck in a rut. I speak to lots of people and they say, Jermaine, I'm stuck. I'm stuck in a rut. My life's stuck in a rut. We live in a balanced universe, yeah? So if it's possible to be stuck in a rut, the opposite has to be true. But interestingly, we don't have a word for that, do we? We don't have a word for where we feel like we can cycle back up to feeling good, feeling great, overcoming obstacles, overcoming challenges. We don't define that in such a way. But in a balanced universe, it has to be possible. So it's not about being happy all the time. It's about being stuck in a happiness cycle, in a positive life cycle, where of course negative, challenging, obstacle-like things do happen, but we cycle through it. Because we're constantly refocusing on our happiness on what we've got, whilst we drive towards what we want to create, and we constantly fulfill. We constantly achieve more and more fulfillment. This makes sense, guys? I'm just going to move the Instagram camera out the way here, because we've lost connection on Instagram. And just going to say hello to Facebook guys. Yeah, so when we get that fulfillment, I like the word fill in there. You see, because lots of you guys watching with me, you add a lot of value to the world. You give yourself, you give your energy to other people. So fulfill, I like the idea of filling myself up. Constantly filling myself up. So there's things that I've got a book somewhere that I've been reading. There's just some time for me. Fulfills Jermaine back up. Walk in nature, relaxation, put my feet up, fulfill, happy state, can go out there and do great things in the world. Because the challenge is, my friends, if we, most of you, all of you watching, I know, want to go and do great things in the world. And most of the people who follow me, of course, they're rediscovering their purpose. They're thinking of an idea they want to put out there in the world. But sometimes we can put so much energy on giving. If I've got a huge container, imagine I've got a yard of ale, and I just want to give everyone a little bit of beer, and I give. Eventually, that yard of ale is going to be empty, yes, and then I've got none for myself. I can't have a little sip. So it's that constant fulfillment process, realigning with what makes you happy now. Not tomorrow, not in 3 months' time, not when the kids go to school, not when they go to university, not when you get that body you want. What makes you happy now? Because then when you're filling yourself up, you can create things you're dissatisfied with. Happy dissatisfaction is something that I like. Because it's okay to be dissatisfied, because as I said, that's a creative state. Does this make sense, guys? And, just to clear something up, I say this a lot. People say, Jermaine, I get messages, Jermaine, how are you so happy all the time? It's really not true. It's really not true. If I was happy all the time, I believe we live in a balanced universe. If I was happy all the time, the chances are I would be setting myself up for a hell of a fall. This makes sense? It's about how can we use our mind, most powerful computer in the universe as far as they know. How can we use our mind rather than our mind use us to get in that happy cycle? Where you see, even as I move, it's like a state of flow. I was talking about flow with the great Alex Springer yesterday. So you see how loose I feel when I talk about it. When you're in a state of flow, that doesn't mean that, just like the river's flowing, just because there's a boulder there, doesn't mean there isn't going to be a boulder there, right? but it flows around it, through it, persistently through it, around it. Does this make sense? Meanders around it. Life is very much the same. So rather than taking this focus to reasons why you're unhappy, just spend some time with me now thinking of if you had to be. I know you might have that little voice chirping away, but that's not really you, my friends. That's not really you. I know that your mind might tell you there's no reason to be happy right now. But if there was, if we had computers wired up to your brain, you know, those pads with the wires, and for each reason you gave to be happy, we'd give you £1 million, or $1 million, or €1 million, whatever it is for you. What reasons would you give? You had to, and the wires would know. The wires wired up to your brain would know if you were given a real reason to be happy. What if, just like my great-grandmother in Barbados, what if just being above ground, just being alive was a good day? Yeah, man. What a base layer for happiness that is. What if that was one of your reasons? Genuinely, not some happy, positive thinking, just genuinely, really identified with the odds of you being a human being. 400 trillion to 1. What if you really identified with that and said, you know what? Just for this moment, I'm going to ignore that little voice. Just ignore that little voice just for a moment and appreciate the fact that I'm here as a human being, and this crazy man in the screen is telling me I've got an opportunity to be happy now and create what I'd love to create. Just sit with that idea. Is there someone that you can be happy that they're in your life? That feeling of gratitude. And as you start to shift that focus, what about those people or that person makes you feel happy? It might be someone you've never met. It might be someone you look up to. It might be a mother, a father, a son, a daughter, a sister, a best friend. But just bring your focus to that person now. Because it's very, very difficult for you to be happy if you're not actually appreciating the things you've got to be happy about. That makes sense? So as you shift that focus now, allow that feeling to, because there'll be a biochemical response, a neurological response. And if a smile comes across your face, that's okay. Smile with me. This makes sense? So today, guys, I invite you that on the commute to work, stuck in traffic, on your lunch break, even as you go off in a daydream, even though we were conditioned in school that daydreaming is bad, identify with those reasons that make you, those things in your life that make you happy. Really identify with those things. And what that allows you to do is starts, and it takes practice. It takes practice. So my idea is to be always raising my base layer of how I feel. So if I feel a 3 out of 10, if I receive a knockback or a challenge or an obstacle, I ain't getting knocked down to 1 or 0. But if I'm regularly on a day-to-day basis, when things are just in a state of flow, if I'm identifying with the things that make me happy, yeah, and the fact that I've got control of my own happiness even, my base level can be an 8 or a 9. And then when an obstacle arrives, because they will, I can get knocked down to 7. Does this make sense? So my invitation to you guys, all of you guys, thank you so much for watching live. My invitation to you, and my invitation to you guys watching the replay, is identify with those reasons. Truly identify. Not just, yeah, I'm happy, you know, my son and my daughter makes me happy. No, really identify. What is it about that? Is it about that special love that you feel? That love, that protection, that bond? That's how I feel about my son. As you start to do that, the smile will start to come. That feeling, it's a strange feeling that I can't perhaps quantify, but identify with those feelings as and when you get the opportunity. And when you identify with those feelings, you start to get into that positive cycle. If a rut is possible, the opposite has to be true, my friends. So thank you so much for all of you guys coming through and watching live this Tuesday morning. And any of you guys watching the replay, appreciate you guys too. But just take that reason with you. Why am I happy now? Finish that sentence as many times as you can today. I am happy because. Finish the sentence. I am happy because. Finish the sentence. And if that little voice tries to chirp in, goodbye. Me, not some conditioning. I am happy because. My friends, thank you so much for watching me this morning. Have a fantastic Tuesday. If you've been watching the replay, thank you so much as well. You guys, what can you be happy about right now? Keep going and keep growing. Thank you guys. Take care.